This is Amud Yomi Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Nun Aleph Amud Beis. We wrap up Baruch Hashem the fourth parak of Maseches Shabbos. Believe it or not, a little Amud a day, slowly and quickly, moves us along. At the very bottom of Nun Aleph Amud Aleph says the Gemara, Tamad v'kisa b'davar she'eino nitel b'Shabbos. If someone did a hatamana or covered a pot with something which you could yes be nitel, it's not a muksa on Shabbos. Or if you did a tamana with something you can't move on Shabbos, but the kisa you covered a davar nitel b'Shabbos, then harizah notil machzir. You're allowed to move the pot, cause the pot's not muksa, and put it back in. But if you both cover the pot and you did a tamana with something which is einay nitel b'Shabbos, something which is muksa, or if you covered it with something muksa. So now, if part of the pot is exposed, if the entire top is not covered with the muksa, so you have a way to maneuver it, and then you can put it back in. But if the entire pot is covered with a muksa item on the top of the alpha and base, there's no way for him to take out the pot because he's going to automatically be moving muksa, and therefore it's going to be mutter. Now, there's an obvious question over here, just to quickly point out that what about the fact that tiltal minatzad l'tzayrech mikaymai is going to be mutter, and Daf Kuf Mem Beis, we're going to have mamish that case, and Rashi in the bottom of Nun Aleph and Aleph asked the kasha that we're going to have a case of a barrel with a rock, and we're going to be allowed to move the barrel and let the rock fall off. So why all of a sudden over here, because there's muksa on top of the item, does that disallow you from moving the pot? And we'll just leave it as a kasha for now. Continues the Gemara, Rav Yudah Eimer, Nu'urei shal pishtan daka reu kizevel. Flax combings are like zevel; they don't actually add heat, and therefore, they add heat, and therefore it's aser. You're allowed to put one pot on top of the next, one kettle on top of the next. And you could seal it with batzik. Not that it heats it up, just to maintain the current heat. Says the Bryce, just like not to do something hot, you're not do something cold. But as we saw yesterday, Rav Yehuda lahatmin as a soinin, Rebbe hit there lahatmin as a soinin that it's not a problem to a tamana with something cold. And we conclude the parak with a random halacha. You're not allowed to crush snow and hail on Shabbos. Why is it not allowed? If you're doing it, you're squeezing, you're crushing just to get out the liquid. Aval, you're allowed to put the snow or an ice cube into a cup, into a bowl, so that it cools off the liquid. We don't have to be worried that it's going to melt on its own, because you're not doing a maisa, but rather it's happening on its own. As the last Rashi says, of hot wine, so I put a little ice in it, even though the ice cubes melt on its own, you don't have to be worried about that. And with that, we dive straight into the halachas of Bameh Behema. Perik number 5 says the with what is an animal allowed to go out on Shabbos? What an animal not let it go out? A camel could go out ba'afsar. Different types of items on the animal. This is literally a halter. This is something that leads the animal. V'nakam bechatam, a female with a chatam. A chatam is also an item. The Gemara is going to explain exactly what it is. Ulizvukin b'prombia. Lukvukin could go with a prombia, which we're going to see also with a bit in the mouth. V'sus b'shir, a horse with a collar. All different types of items that the animal's allowed to be on the animal, and you could be leading the animal on Shabbos. All animals that wear a collar is allowed to wear the collar and be pulled by a collar. And of course, we have to see the first Rashi to understand what in the world is going on over here, because many are thinking it's an animal. What does that have to do with me? So the first Rashi explains, of course, we're commanded on our animals resting b'Shabbos, but something that the animals watched with is considered have a tachshit. It's considered jewelry. v'orcha, and it's regular, v'lavi masui, and it's not considered a load. So the underpinnings of this entire perek, really, but certainly this first Mishnah that we're learning, is we are commanded on our animals resting on Shabbos. And therefore, if I'm going to walk with my animal going out, my animal is going to be carrying a masoi, a load, that's going to be usher. If the animal is going to be wearing something, which is its normal shmirah protection, and that will be mutter. Concludes the Mishnah, Umazin aleim, you'll have to sprinkle ashes of the paraduma onto the collar while the animal is wearing it, and you're also allowed to do tvila on the animal while the collar it's on its neck. So before we get anywhere, the Gemara starts a little bit of a dictionary. My nokka bechatam, what does that mean? Amar Rabachana, noksa chivarta, a white female animal, bizamama deparzla, with a nose ring of iron. This is how the animal was through the camel's nose, and that's how you pulled the animal. Luvdake bebrambia. Amar Avuna, what is that? Chamar luva bepagi deparzla, a donkey with an iron bit. Again, a different type of entity that were utilized to move the animals. Levi said money to be chuzai to buy him this type of Luvian donkey. Saru shadr le saira. They wrapped up Levi's money. They sent it back to him with some barley. Lemeimar denigri dechamra sairi, to tell him that the strength of the donkey is equal to the barley it eats, meaning it's not worth it for him to buy it, and therefore Levi, they told Levi, don't buy the animal here. By the time it comes back, you're going to utilize the whole value by feeding the animal. Amar Rebbe Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. About 15 lines into this new parak, first one line is Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Says Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Machlifin Lifnei Rebbe. They switched the dinim in front of Rebbe. And meaning this is a tactic that we use often to find out psak halacha. Shalzu bezu. If one put one type of animal's item, the collar, the bit, the halter, whatever it is, on the other type of animal, is that allowed? Naka ba'afsa lo tibaylecha. So says Rabbi, the naka ba'afsa, female animal with the female camel with the halter, is not a shaylok, even though it's Rabbi, since it's not restrained by this type of item. Asay, you say clearly it's a masay, it's not helping the animal at all. What's the shayla? Gamul bachata mahi. The shayla is, what about a camel with a nose ring? Even the sagli ba'afsar. L'mais, the camel is enough if you use the afsar, the halter. So masayu. So now by putting on the nose ring, it doesn't need it. So it's excessive. Therefore, it has a din of a masay. Or maybe we say that it's excessive. Maybe we say, or maybe Dilma, maybe extra guarding is not called a masa, it's an extra guarding. So what is the status? Well, the shayla was if you do a little bit extra. Four animals allowed to go out with this afsar, this halter, asosav aparat, gamul achamor, lemute mai, lav lemute gamul b'chatam. The it's an explicit price to come to exclude it. It's excluding the other case, which over there it's not going to do anything, and that's the reason why it's not. So we don't have a teret to our shayla. Says the Gemara Masnita Tana. We learned in our Mishnah Luv Dakim of Gamul Yitzim Ba'afsar. Says the Gemara Kita. Nice. We haven't had a teret whether you're allowed to do an excessive type of guarding on the animal. Says the Gemara. It's about Machlekes Tanayim. Ein Chayo Yitzim B'Sugar. A chayok is not allowed to go out with a sugar, with a collar of rope. But my askin, what is this machlekes tanikam and chananya? Ilim of a chayik doila, large chayok like a beer. Misagi loy sugar. Is a rope collar going to do anything? Of course not. So mi loy sagi lo sugar. Is it not enough? So what's the machlekes? Elalav chatul ikabeinayu. It's a little cat. A cat is enough with a little rope. Masayus to put a whole rope collar. Excessive shmira. Tanikama says Masay. Chanani says no. Excessive shmira is okay. And therefore you're allowed to go out with the animal with this excessive shmira. So machlekes tanayim. What's the psak halacha? That we're going to be makel, that nitirusi yiserta, excessive watching, is not going to be considered a masai. We conclude Levi on the bottom of Menalef of Mebeis. Levi Bered Ravuna Barchia Rabba Ravuna Gabigazli Buorcha. We're going on the road. Kadme Chamara de Levi. Levi's donkey went ahead. Lechamara de Rabba Ravuna in front of the donkey of Rabba Ravuna. Chalashtai de Ravuna. Rabba Ravuna wasn't happy. Rabbi Ravuna felt that he was the older Talmid Chacham over here. Why would Levi go ahead of him? So Amar Levi said, I'm going to say something to Rabbi Ravuna so he understands on the top of the Beis Amar Aleph, the Taisev Daiti, that it'll be calm. Amar Levi said, a donkey who has such bad behavior like this one. Are you allowed to go out with it with a bit on a Shabbos? Amarle, Ravuna said to Levi, excessive watching is allowed. So Levi calmed his Rebbe because he showed he didn't mean for his donkey to go ahead. And then he got up psychologically that excessive watching, Lamaisa, will be mutter. We'll pick it up from the top of the Beis Amar Aleph, B'siyata Dishmaya.